Hi, everybody. My name is Chad Bernatchez. I am the singer and one of the guitar players of VOIDCHASER, which is a progressive metal band all the way from Canada. I myself live in Stockholm, in Sweden. So we do the long distance thing, but we're putting out music. We get together and do some tours and some shows and stuff, and we have a good time. But anyway, that's not what this is about. Today, what the Metal Crypt has tasked me to do, which is a very impossible task, is to talk about my four most influential albums, um, which is an impossible task because there's so many great albums that have influenced me and the music that I write on such a micro level that it feels unfair to not talk about all these uh, all these albums that really had from my playing to my songwriting to whatever to the way that I write lyrics. It's like there's so many albums that influenced me on a microscopic level. Uh, but I'm gonna break them down. I'm gonna do it only four. I decided I'm gonna kind of split it up with like kind of the albums that gave me the most aha moment, I guess, and really like were like kind of pillars of when I noticed the change in how I perceived music, I guess, or how I got closer to the music that I wanted to write. So yeah, without further ado, album number one for me is Blizzard of Oz by Ozzy Osbourne. The first time I heard this record, it just, the guitar playing right away absolutely blew me out of the water. I mean, it starts with I Don't Know and then into Crazy Train, which is just like, such an insane opening sequence of songs. But I mean, I was a fan of Randy Rhoads instantly. There's so many good songs on that album, and the guitar playing is amazing. The songwriter is really cool. The songwriting, sorry, is really cool. It's got this very like almost like pop rocky kind of thing at certain points. It's nice. I really like it. But like uh, specifically why I'm mentioning it is because when I first heard Mr. Crowley, I think that was such a light bulb moment for me because I felt like it was such a song that told a story without even needing lyrics. Like the first time I had heard that opening riff, um, right after those keys, the organ, it just really like it just set such a mood, and it really just changed how I saw music. Where I was like, oh man, this isn't like a song. This is a story. This is like a whole. This is a whole story. This is a whole tale of something. Um, and it really, yeah, it really inspired me to kind of start looking for moments like that in music, I think. And it really pushed me towards that kind of music consumption. Um, and it was something that was so dissonant. Mr. Crowley was such a dissonant song, and it was so mysterious, and it had such a weird riff that eventually kind of all resolves with that beautiful harmony solo section into that final solo. There was just something about it that really struck a nerve when I was a kid, and it made me want to like pick up the guitar and be more serious with the instrument and put the time in. So that's the first album. Afterwards, we fast forward a couple of years. I start listening to stuff like Kiss and Metallica and you name it, and then eventually I stumble upon Megadeth, and with that, I stumbled upon Rust in Peace. And Rust in Peace had taken that initial idea of musical storytelling to the next level for me. Especially like I mean, as an album, again, we're talking about how albums open. Holy Wars into Hangar 18 is just like peak. I don't know. It's like such strong opening songs. It's immediately sets the tone for the album, and you know what you're getting into, and it's the guitar work is insane. But Hangar 18 specifically, uh, it was so different than a lot of the metal that I had heard at the time because so heavy yet so melodic and so like yeah, and the song felt very urgent, it felt tense, it immediately gave me a mood, and I was hooked. And obviously, you know, I was still am a big sci-fi nerd, so the lyrics just really struck with me. Obviously, Holy Wars as well, like the songwriting being a little bit more um, I guess reflective, you know, having like the lyric writing having to make you think a little bit about current happenings in the world and etc. Uh, yeah, it was a very influential album for me, and it kind of pushed me towards that more like heavy side of music as well, where I started kind of, you know, at this point, after hearing this, shortly after I had started my own thrash band, and I was going for it, and once I got into more into Megadeth, Dave Mustaine, you know, I was like, oh man, he doesn't sing that great, and he plays guitar like a monster. I can do that, or it inspired me to think I can do both. And sometimes you don't have to be an amazing singer. Sometimes you just have to have um, a voice that says something, and a voice that like I don't know resonates with people. So yeah, Hangar 18, number 2 on the list. Uh, Now we're gonna fast forward. You know, as the years go by, from from Megadeth, I kind of started to gradually get into prog a little bit. Obviously, you know, being Canadian, in my teenagers, I actually started to understand Rush, and Dream Theater, and so on and so forth. And then sometime in my early to mid 20s, I stumbled upon this guy named Devin Townsend, and that took like the whole uh, musical storytelling to the next level, because the third album on my list is Ziltoid the Omniscient, and you know, ZTO into By Your Command again. We're talking about openers. Wow, just like completely blew my mind. And then, you know, I really started to get to bite into the idea of concept records at this time as well. And yeah, it was just such a heavy, well written album from start to finish. There's no like dull points for me. Um, and I think the idea that it's like uh, you can kind of tell, because a lot of concept records, um, you know, they tend to take themselves quite seriously. And I remember listening to this and being like, oh, this is just like, this is kind of silly and fun. And it really opened my eyes to kind of like, you know, you can just, not everything's got to, you know, be an album that's going to change the world, I guess. Sometimes you tell a story for the sake of telling a story, and you make characters because you're inspired to do so, not because you need to put a message across. Um, so yeah, I don't know, something about Ziltoid the Omniscient really made me dive deeper into the rabbit hole, and I think at this point, this is when I had uh, started to experiment a little bit more with writing progressive music, and wanting the idea of writing a concept record as well. So that's gonna have to be my number 3, and then finally, we fast forward a couple of years later. Since we're on the subject of Devin Townsend, I go see him live in 2020 in Montreal, and I am introduced to this band properly called Haken. And they were at the time touring their album called Vector. And I remember being so blown away by that performance, and how catchy everything was. Everything was heavy, everything was super prog, but it was catchy. And it got stuck in my head. And I was singing The Good Doctor and Puzzle Box like for days after seeing them live, which I don't think happens in a lot of live contexts. Like I usually feel like when people go to shows and they go see a band they haven't seen, or they don't really know much of, they usually, you know, in one ear out the other kind of thing, you know, where it's like you see it, you have a good time, and then, you know. But I had most of the album stuck in my head the following days. And again, we want to talk about good openers. Clear is a very a very ambiance setter. And then you go right into the Good Doctor, and then Puzzle Box. It's like a 1-2 punch of just like super catchy songs. And I mean the production's amazing, and I love Nil by Mouth on that album. A Cell Divides. They're all good songs, and I'm a big fan of Haken, and I think that's kind of when after I saw that, Void Chaser kind of became more of a thing in my head, because it kind of enabled me to accept that sometimes I'm going to write songs that are catchy. And I think that doing prog, I was always afraid of that. I was always afraid of, I can't do that. It's 4 chords, or, oh, this is a 4/4 section. That's not going to work. So it kind of allowed me to just stop complicated things for myself and just like allow myself to write what I felt like writing, I guess. So those are my 4 albums. I've been Chad from Void Chaser. We got a new album coming out, or that is out, depending on when this is uploaded, called Interstellar 1, speaking of concept records. So, yeah, check it out. And thank you for listening.